ربنا زدنا علما نافعا آمين يا رب. I'm going to start explaining سأشرح في شرح لامية ابن الوردي. I'm going to start explaining the Lamia of Ibn al-Wardi. It's basically a qasida that comprises of 77 lines of poetry that have to do with hikam. Understand? So Ibn al-Wardi, poetry can be of many types. It could be of hikam, it could be of madh, it could be madh, basically praising someone, it could be of hija, it could be cursing someone, it could be even, there's many types of poetry. This qasida is hikam. What is it? Hikam. It comprises wisdoms and advices that Ibn al-Wardi, that he is giving to his son. So it's very, very beneficial for the younger guys especially. Ibn al-Wardi, so I'm not actually explaining his Lamia. In Arabic, if you're explaining a qasida, لا ينبغي أن تشرح القصيدة إلا باللغة العربية الفصحى. So I'm not going to say I'm explaining the qasida, I'm explaining the hikam. I'm explaining the advices that he gave, but I'm not explaining the qasida itself because who am I? I'm not an adib, I'm not a sha'ir. But Ibn al-Wardi, he was not only a sha'ir, he was not only an adib, not only was he a lughawi, a nahwi, he was also a faqih, he was also a qadi. Ibn al-Wardi, he was a Shafi'i. He was born and raised in Halab. You know how do you say Halab in English? Aleppo. You're from Halab, right? He's from Aleppo. So he was from Halab. He's Halabi. تفقه في حلب ونشأ وولد في حلب. He was born in 689 and then he died in 749. How many years is that? 100 years. No, 60 years. 40 years off, but 60 years, and he was in Halab, and he basically stayed his whole life there. And so he was not only a sha'ir, but he was also an alim. He was also an alim. So unlike other shu'ara, he sticks to sharia when he's giving his poetry. So I'll begin the line, inshallah. The first three abiyat only. The first three, and we'll just end it there. اعتزل ذكر الأغاني والغزل وقل الفصل وجانب من هزل ودع الذكر لأيام الصبا فلأيام الصبا نجم أفل إن أهنى عيشة قضيتها ذهبت لذاتها والإثم حل. The first three abiyat, I'm going to explain it and we're going to stop here, okay? And then every week, I don't like, you don't need to hear anything from me. I'm just going to explain what Ibn al-Wardi says. So, that suffices. اعتزل ذكر الأغاني والغزل. And another riwayah, اعتزل ذكر الغواني جمع غانية. So he says, leave, utruk. اعتزل means utruk. Leave the mention of, not just leave, but leave that thing, but leave even the mention of it, ذكر الأغاني, which could be جمع أغنية, which means basically music. But here specifically, he is talking about things that are haram. Because he is an alim, he's a faqih. So he's talking about things that are haram music, you could categorize as. Because we have some unshuda, in Islam, for example, that praise the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Asma'ullah al-Husna. These are things that are beneficial to listen to. Sometimes you can listen to it in the car while you're driving, that's fine. But he's talking about haram ughniya, aghani. Or ghawani, which is jam'u ghaniya, which means istaghnat bijamaliha min at-tazyin. That's what it means. Basically, she's so beautiful that she did not even need to beautify herself with other things. No makeup, no. She's beautiful in herself. He's telling his young son, and he's telling all of us, ذِكْرَ الْغَوَانِ or al-aghani wal-ghazal. And ghazal is a type of poetry, or not type of poetry, but it basically means talking about love, describing women. He says, leave that. He said, as a young man, you should not be involved, in talking about women and being so infatuated with them. And I was reading today actually in my dars of Shifa, and this story came up of Mughith and Barira. Basically, I don't know if does anybody know the story of Mughith and Barira? Sheikh, he knows. Mughith and Barira, basically Mughith and Barira were two slaves, and they were married. Barira, she was freed. Barira, she no longer wants to be with Mughith. And Mughith loved her. Barira didn't love him back. She hated him. She didn't like him at all. And my shaykh said, خُذْهَا قَاعِدَةً يا شباب. He said, مشكلة كبيرة أن تحب ولا تحب. He said, it's very dangerous that you love someone and you're not loved back. And then he said, يا عبد الرزاق انتبه من هذا انتبه. And I said, يا شيخ إنما أمثالي يحب ولا يحب. And he said, Allah. He said, people like me, we get love, but we don't love back. He said, ما شاء الله أنت أقوى رجل يا عبد الرزاق. Yeah, I'm streaming. But so what? So she didn't love him back. So then the Prophet ﷺ, Mughith, he was crying in the streets, following her. And then Mughith went to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, Ya Rasulullah, help me, Ya Rasulullah. And the Prophet ﷺ, Yujbir Khatir, Mughith, he went to Barira and he said, why don't you, take him back? And then she asked, he said, Ashafi'un am amir? He said, are you doing shafa'ah for him or are you commanding me, Ya Rasulullah? Because if you're commanding me, I'll do it. But he said, Innama ana shafi'. He said, I'm shafi'. Like I'm at the shafa'. I'm interceding on his behalf. He said, La hajata li bih. I don't want anything to do with this guy. Right? So why I'm mentioning this is that don't ever chase after women. Don't get infatuated and chase after women. This is the advice that Ibn al-Wardi is giving. Abdul Razak's not giving it. Ibn al-Wardi, he's saying, don't chase after women and don't waste your time doing that as a young man. Don't waste your time doing this. Pursue other things. اعتزل ذكر الأغاني والغزل وقل الفصل, and say the truth. Say the truth. وقل الحق وجانب من هزل, and stay away from those people. وجانب من هزل basically means stay away from those people that just are always joking around. Stay away from those people that are always making things light. They say in English, there's a method, birds of a feather flock together. So if you want, you can be guilty by association sometimes too. So if you associate yourself with friends that are messing around with women, that are doing haram things, it's going to have an effect on you whether you like it or not. So Ibn al-Wardi, he's advising his son and all of us, stay away from those people. وَجَانِبْ مَنْ هَزَلْ. He didn't just say وَجَانِبْ al-hazal. He said وَجَانِبْ مَنْ هَزَلْ. He didn't say stay away from taking things light and making a joke out of everything. He said stay away from those people who do it, because you can even be affected just by associating yourself with them. And then he said وَدَعِ الذِّكْرَ لِأَيَّامِ الصِّبَى فَلِأَيَّامِ الصِّبَى نَجْمٌ أَفَلْ. He said leave the remembering the old days, the old childhood days. فَلِأَيَّامِ الصِّبَى نَجْمٌ أَفَلْ, because those days have passed like a star, it goes away. نَجْمٌ أَفَلْ basically means نَجْمٌ غَاب, right? Like a star or like the moon that it goes away, the sun that goes away. Similarly, why are you remembering those days? It has no benefit. It has no benefit to you. Instead you should be focused on your future. When people think back and they think about the good times, they're trying to run away from usually what? Responsibility. Trying to make something for their future, for themselves now. So they think about the past and the past. And so there's an important nuqta here, and I'm almost done. This is not in reference to remembering good things that happened in the past. وَالنَّاسُ فِي هَذَا فِي طَبَقَاتٍ. Some people spent their young and their youth days doing bad things. So for them, it's not good to remember what they did in the past, because they're going to remember sin. And they're going to remember all of the haram things that they did. Some people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed were able to spend their youth like the youth do in our masjid, where they spend it in the kutab, they spend it memorizing the Quran, they spend it in the masjid, they spend it learning about Islam and ilm and deen. Now that is something worthy of remembering. When I sit, alhamdulillah, I don't do this out of madh of myself, but my parents have taught me, because as a kid, you don't really have a say in these things. Your parents have a say. My parents used to send me to a full-time hifz madrasa. When I think of my childhood, I think about memorizing the Quran. I think about learning fiqh. That's what I think of, right? And so this is in reference to those people that reflect back into the past to stay away from responsibility and that have bad pasts. But if you have a good past, it's good to remember and reflect over the good things you did. فَلِأَيَّامِ الصِّبَى نَجْمٌ أَفَلْ إِنَّ أَهْنَا عِيشَةٍ قَضَّيْتُهَا ذهبت لذاتها والإثم حل. And though أهنا basically means أسعد, the glory days that I have lived, that have passed, ذهبت لذاتها, the pleasure of it is also gone. But the only thing that remained is that regret. والإثم حل. That regret, that sin, it still hurts me today. That perhaps that one time you committed that sin, Perhaps that one time you did that thing, that pleasure that you experienced at that one brief moment, that brief moment of pleasure that you might have experienced, and not to get explicit, you men know when you let go, khalas, you don't really feel anything after that, right? It's just a moment, a brief moment, and then after that you just regret and regret and regret. So why suffer for the rest of your life for just a brief, small moment of pleasure? And this is the advice that he gave in the first 3 lines. There's 77. So inshallah, every week on what day is it? Tuesday, I'll cover these lines. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. السلام عليكم.